Okay, so welcome back. If you've made it through the first two videos, you, sir, or madam, are a champion. Those two games were very tough for me. They were both losses going to 2018 US Go Congress, and I think that's actually kind of customary for, especially when the Go Congress is on the East Coast. Now, I'll point out the fallacy in this thinking, but it's often the case when, I'm from living in Seattle, travel to the East Coast, the 3-hour time difference. It's more like I'm playing, top-level Go games at 6 a.m. And is my camera on the right thing? Okay. 6 a.m. and that's kind of a tough ask. However, I would say this year I was actually already on the East Coast for a while before the Go Congress, so that excuse doesn't really apply. But either way, despite the 19x19 games going a little bit rough, today, or at least day 3 of the Congress, the game I'm going to show you today, is where we turn things around. And man, we do turn things around, although it's just as dramatic as some of the other games. By no stretch of the imagination, easy wins. Alongside this, I was also in the finals for the 9x9 championship game. Every year there's a 9x9 tournament, and maybe you guys know I have a toddler running around, so most of my Go for the past year has not been 19x19. It's been on my phone playing 9x9. So I do want to make a video just showing off the championship game from the 9x9 tournament, which I did win. But that'll be another video. So anyway, today is game 3, and we're going to use the robot to help us through here again. I'm playing against a kid who is pretty strong, Raymond Fang. He did really well in something. I remember he going up to the podium for something. Maybe it was the Redmond Cup or whatever during the banquet. I've actually played, I think I played against him before. Actually, no, he reminded me that I played against him before several years ago, and he was even a smaller kid. and he actually greeted me at the table. He's like, "Oh yeah, do you remember me? I was like a little kid." And I was like, "Yeah, I kind of remember you." And he's like, "Oh yeah, I remember that game. You showed up really hungover to that game." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So anyway, it's kind of embarrassing to have a kid tell you that you showed up to the last tournament game you played against him hungover. Anyway, here's the game. I am black. Here we can get the robot going here to have it start showing us some moves. This move is kind of unheard of, right? In we'll say 20th century Go. This is seen as being really bad direction of play for white. And the reason why is because if you look at the top of the board, it's not a 10 space, it's not an 11 space, we have a 12 space extension at the top of the board. And so by making that side of the board bigger and giving black the first move, there's an obvious advantage there. The robot doesn't really seem to mind. It really doesn't change the win percentages a whole lot. 0.9% or something from what it could have been. So it's one of those things that robots... did my camera fall again? Camera. I need tape. It's one of those things that robots don't seem to care a whole lot about, which is amazing, right? Just flying in the face of traditional Go theory. But anyway, as a human, I felt very good about playing the top side of the board first. Though, yeah, I guess the robot agrees that the high approach is better. One of the few times, right, that the robot says high is better. And already I feel like I'm winning, right? Like this already feels like a very comfortable game for black. All 3 black stones are working together, it would feel. He sort of plays default Joseki here. And yeah, this is an interesting option for black, and I think robots are sort of changing thinking. Look at the huge, not huge, but significant win percentage difference between these two moves. In this type of spacing, I think without thinking, most humans would prefer to have this stone here, which is what I play. And you'll see why, because if your opponent plays the conventional, traditional Joseki here, then this shape works better with basically any other stone at the top. The robot likes these moves. I play this one, which again makes a nice 5-space extension and proper 3-space extension from the effectively 2-stone wall. Like this is like, as far as human traditional Go theory is concerned, this is ideal. Like this is amazing. the robot doesn't care because it's still like, well, I can attach to you in the 4/4 point. So the robot doesn't like this as much, which is pretty. This is a pretty huge departure from Go for the last 50 years. Actually, probably longer, significantly longer. And if we go back to this point, you can actually already see when black plays this hanging connection. The robot doesn't want white to finish the Joseki. The robot's just like, hey, go dive in right now. And if we just play the recommended robot moves, we get into some sort of fight like this, and actually doesn't even want. Normally, white would expect to attach here. Wow, this is quite a variation already. Wow, just cuts on both sides. Yeah, this is very scary for humans, right? Where nothing is settled. Both white. Both these white groups can be cut, and this because white is technically kind of strong here, right? Even this isn't a real base for black. So anyway, that's just trying to showcase the difference between robot and human. In most of my games now, whenever I play against a human who plays against this hanging connection, I immediately just play something on the top. I don't even finish the Joseki anymore, and that's just something I've been experimenting with and finding it tends to work out fine. Not like great, not like you're going to win the game automatically, kind of, but. It's very rare when I regret having not played this move. So we played this move, and again, I played the very human move, making the ideal human extension from both sides, which again, the robot disagrees with because it has this move later on. But that win percentage is already starting to climb a little bit towards black. In very traditional robot fashion, it wants white to invade the 3/3, which white does not. White takes us to a big point. And the other thing about when you're playing kids and younger Go players, and Raymond isn't that young anymore. I don't really know his age, but he's, we'll say adolescent age or prepubescent age, something like this now. Or kids in general are generally bad at the opening. And the robot kind of says it doesn't really matter, right? At least you can see like the kid has already played 3 dubious moves in terms of traditional Go theory opening, and it's still basically a 50-50 game. That's pretty remarkable, I think, for the robot to conclude that, and I mean the implications of that are pretty profound, right? Again, sort of the feeling like that Go Sagan had, where put your first 3 stones anywhere you want on the board. It's not the part of the game that matters. So here, I certainly wanted to play this move, and I'm trying to remember actually my psychology of why I didn't. I was definitely thinking, look, white's building something. I think the reason was because I felt like my spacing was so good that I could actually still build faster than white. So even though if white plays another stone in this corner, white gets a very nice shape, black is still building on a larger percentage of the board. And so that was, again, my very human thinking. I wasn't quite ready to dive in here yet, even though it was the best we'll just say best move on the board, at least according to the robot. Because I was like, yes, if I play here, and then white plays here, and then I just get to keep building, and black's, covering more ground. The robot says here, I take the big point, and I'm going to turn off the thinking for a second. So you can just see how much more of the board black is actually covering, right? White is really covering about 1/3. And black stones are sort of populating closer to 2/3. And again, all the spacing for black is pretty good. Oh, actually, one more thing I want to say about this move. This move is actually a misclick. I don't actually mean to play the stone there. In the game, I actually meant to just play a large knight's enclosure. So after this move, I was actually a little bit rattled with myself. I was like, oh man, I just played the stone on the wrong spot. But turns out I think either one is fine. Like even I didn't actually. Did the robot have an opinion? Robot has very little opinion. Robot does agree, actually, the move I want to play is slightly better than what I did play, but not a lot of variations are being looked at here. So, yeah, I misclicked for a 1% loss, apparently. Anyway, fun fact when you're playing Go in the morning. The other thing that happens during tournament games is, I have an iPad mini, and I record my games on my iPad mini. And often I'll actually look at that instead of the real board. And so I'll do, especially if I'm reading long sequences or thinking about like large board strategy, I'll actually just prefer to look straight down at my iPad mini just in front of the board. And part of that is just because it's condensed. There's no angle, right? If you're looking at an actual physical board, you know, the stones that are closer to you are larger, and you know, I feel like that there's like some biases, right, just from like a visual distortion perspective that happen, or it can make reading confusing too if you're really susceptible to those biases. So when I misclicked this move, and this is a thing, often when I misclick, what happens is I'm reading on my little board, on my little iPad, and I'm reading, and I'm like, okay, that's it, that's the move I'm going to play, and I immediately just take the stone, and just barely look up and place a stone on the board. And whether or not the stone lands in the right spot, most of the time it does. So that's what happened there. Again, I didn't feel like this was a game over loss or anything. Like, this is still a good move. But it's not the move I wanted to play. And so again, that has some psychological detriment. All right, so I take another big point. And Robot, actually in this case, which is interesting, doesn't want to attach after this stone. It wants to play here. So here's a question I have. I just want to know, if white does attach, what am I supposed to play now? And it looks like I'm supposed to goad white into this thing. And oh, that's a nasty tight shape, really concentrated shape. Looks like I'm just supposed to harass this group using this stone. So that's pretty interesting. That's pretty interesting. Yeah, so now white prefers this move, which is the game. Oh yeah, one thing, when white came here, there's a few, like traditionally black would play here, right? This is the traditional response, low Chinese kind of style opening. However, I'm going to show you the robot move. I haven't actually made, yep, here's the robot move. Normally human would play this green spot. All the robots are playing here. And if white can extend this far and give himself that many more points or that much more room for a base, this is actually a pretty nice, we'll say, base type of thing for white. Like, white's not really unhappy here. White doesn't feel like he's under that much pressure. And even though he might get sealed in, he comes out with Sente because of this attachment. If we play the more traditional human move, oh man, that's not even, now we're not even playing. Oh, we are. Okay, that's the human move. Good. Okay, all right, it's looking the board backwards. Yeah, so here's, oh, that's not human Joseki. Next human move is normally here for the Joseki. Yeah, this is the traditional, more human move. Oh, and it wants white to Tanuki here. Interesting. Okay. Oh, yeah, and actually, we were, black was supposed to make, sorry, there was a exchange here. Here. Or wait, no, here. Yeah, so normally, white space is about the same, maybe, I don't know, 2 points smaller, but white usually ends in gote. And that's a pretty big difference, I think. So yeah, everyone's now playing this move in this shape, and which is now sort of seen as good for white, because white can Tanuki much easier with a less severe follow-up for black. Anyway, so that's interesting difference, right? If you're used to play, if you are a low Chinese player and you get into this formation, again, very common, and you're used to playing or expecting this move, you can no longer do so. The robots are pretty confident this attachment is worth taking, which is pretty far out. Anyway, this didn't happen because I know the sequence and didn't want that to happen. So I play this move, which the robot agrees is now currently the best move as far as we know, in response to the white invasion to the low Chinese. And white plays here, which is fine. No, sorry, white doesn't play here. The robot wants white to play here. And I think basically this is just seen as a reduction type of move. It's not, white's not even trying to get a base, it's just, whoops, I misclick. Just, it's almost like a shoulder hit. This is like a giant fat shoulder hit, just on this corner group. But in game, my opponent plays here and starts this small avalanche. I guess I'm the one who starts the actual small part of the avalanche. And this is a huge opportunity for me. Now, white has a ladder, so white can play a ladder variation, but I'd already thought of this and was like, well, I have a stone here, and I have a stone here. There's no way the ladder variation is good for white. Even though white might have the ladder, white's shape will just be destroyed because there's no extension on either side. So my opponent, it's like right now you can even see the robot is like, don't play the Avalanche. Here's the next move in the Avalanche, Joseki. Robot's like, don't, play something else. It's Tanuki, in fact. It's not, 46% still isn't bad. But you can see this graph just climbing. Because he just sort of plays out the small Avalanche blindly. This is the ladder variation, by the way, if you guys know this variation. But he plays the standard classic small Avalanche, and this is my opportunity to really take advantage of it. So like this part, like I'd already read out and saw this move was really good for me, this variation. However, it's not that good for me without disrupting White's shape. And so let me show you what I should have done first, and then I'll show you what I did, and we'll be sad together. That'll be cool. So what I should do is I should play here, and this just destroys Black's shape. White's shape. White has no time to cut. The robot's freaking out now because it's like game over and doesn't know what to do. 1.92% win percentage for White now. White's stone is just caught in a ladder. There's nothing for White. In response to this shape move, right, breaks up the bamboo joint, White just has to extend. But Black gets another forcing move. White just has to connect. Look at this double empty triangle. How beautiful is that? And then Black gets to come back here. Now, normally White would have this cut to be able to get Aji on the outside, but there's so little Aji with this Black stone here. White can get a little bit over here, but now if you look at this group, what is this group supposed to do now? Like, its natural extension is this point, or this point, which there's already a Black stone here. So Black got a pretty, not a huge corner, but pretty large corner. Yes, these two White stones have Aji, but it's not a lot because Black already has a stone here. There's really no place for this White group to develop. It's going to be under attack. This would be a fantastic result for Black. Right now we're already a 2/3 game for Black, right? This is the type of scenario I wanted, and I knew I could get, right? Because I knew, or I know, that White can't really play an Avalanche when Black has extensions on both sides. Like, there's just not enough for White to get. All right, now let's show you how I screwed it up. So I play Avalanche, and instead of playing this move, whoops, I just play this move directly. And this is a huge difference, right? It's still okay for Black. Like, you're not going to feel bad as Black unless you know how much better of a result you could have gotten. But you still feel a little bad once you know that. You feel really bad once you know that. Oh, wow, really wants me to fight here. Oh, yeah, that is forcing, isn't it? Yeah, why didn't I play this? Does it change things? It does change things. This is not the game. Sorry, I got distracted by a variation. Oh, wow, it wants me to Tanuki this. That's amazing, because I think I'd play there pretty automatically. All right, that would have been better too. All right, so many ways this could have gone better for me. All right, in the game, I take this Atari. And instead of playing here, I crawl again. Yeah. Oh, pain. Because even now I still have an opportunity. Not as good as the original one, but still, that would have been good too. And then here, yeah, White plays this. I do take the peep. Oh, no, I don't. I do take it in a moment. What do I play? I play... No, sorry. White plays here first. It's White will take this in a second. Once again, I still have the opportunity to do this. So, such a terrible missed opportunity. Yeah. Oh, man. And I just crawl again. Oh, all right. This is going to be more painful than I thought. Oh, I did not see this. I had 3 opportunities to just ruin White on this corner of the board. 3. 3. Okay. Yeah, White takes this. This is not really anything. Plays here. Actually, the robot isn't crazy about this cut, or this peep. I'm kind of surprised about. This seems like just a good timing. And Black does need to come back and fix. The robot wants me to take an Atari. Or no, it does want me to come back and fix. And then White finishes here. Now, this, like, Black still gets an okay size corner. and there's actually a lot of Aji left in this stone. Basically, like any black move here within a 1.5 stone radius of this group is completely forcing against the group, and can probably get 2, maybe 3 forcing moves, just because the danger of running this stone out or cutting or wedging. Like there's like this stone isn't it's dead right now in the absolute sense, but black has a lot of free stuff, is all I'm saying. So the combination of a bunch of some free stuff and a big corner, like I felt okay. That's kind of what the graph represents. It's a okay. But in the game, I was very disappointed. Like my actual psychological state was like, wow, this should have gone so much better for me, and it didn't. So that's a little, you know, putting me on tilt, I guess. So here I take this move, and this is a really bad move. Like I didn't realize how bad this move was, because my opponent didn't respond correctly. In the game, he played the normal shape move, which is here. This is what you'd normally expect, and that's what he played. But it's actually a much better result for white to just kill the free stuff. And now at this point, it's a lot harder for black to get these forcing moves, just by quashing the Aji of this stone directly. So that's actually a really good thing to learn or try to internalize. Right, this is the proper shape, quote unquote. Right, when you peep these 3 stones with the crane's nest kind of formation, you make a bamboo joint on this side. But because black has a stone here and this Atari here, it's actually better to make it on this side. So that's a really nice little subtle thing. Anyway, white plays a bad shape, leaves me the Aji. You can see the graph here just sort of bouncing down and bouncing up, reflecting that white had an opportunity to get rid of Aji and didn't. So now the biggest move is on the right-hand side, which of course we ignore. Or I ignore. Maybe white was going to play there. And part of that is just I now feel a little bit behind. I want to play a little more aggressively. You know, like I said, I'm a little bit on like a psychological tilt. And so it just makes sense for me in my own mind to play the more active move. And it's actually not even that huge of a win percentage, at least according to the robot, so it's fine. Robot thinks I should ignore and just still play over here, which again is amazing. Robot, and my opponent Raymond, I think he played a bad move here, but I did not capitalize it once again, because he actually no kicking. I guess is fine. Never mind. Yeah, Robot seems to think that's if you're gonna play a move over here, that's fine. I lied. Okay, I stand, and here he plays this move, which was the move I thought he played initially. And this feels wrong for many reasons. Like this is a really almost like a greedy kind of move. Like this is the kind of move that makes me feel like let's say you've almost got a group that's dead. You have 2 options. You could play a move that completely surrounds the group and forces it to live small on the inside, or you could play a move that pokes out its eye space and forces it to run across the board. Well, 80% of the time it's probably better to play the move that completely surrounds it and forces it to live small and gote. And so often I do it, even still in my own games, like I'm like, oh man, but if that group was running all these things I could build and all this benefit I could get from attacking it, so let me just throw in a stone, even though that might be the wrong solution. This is kind of what this feels like. It's like white is throwing in a stone to disrupt my eye space and forcing me to run. And you know, it's hard to see the benefit for white, especially when this is a low extension from a pretty safe corner group. We're not talking about a lot of points here. We're not talking about a lot of potential. It's purely to disrupt these 2 black stones. And so the robot's like, yeah, don't even care. Let's just go play the bigger point again. In the game, I really thought I should have leaned on it once. And I do still like internally regret not having done so. I feel like that would be a big difference. But I continue over here. And, you know, I'm just looking at this corner shape and going, this is very thin. Let's just try stuff. And again, I'm still playing a little bit on tilt because I was just, you know, I already was a little bit upset because I misclicked and maybe I still had like a little bit of that lingering and then did not get the result I wanted in this corner. That was the bigger one. So immediately hit a weak point. The robot says just cover and just stay strong. Let's see what this looks like. Oh, that's a nice move, actually, that diagonal. Black has to, wow. Wow. All right, this is quite an exchange here. Black just builds a wall and builds a side. Now, I would have been okay with this. Like if this would be a very clean, simple version of one variation that I can also still get later, and you'll see how. So that's okay. That's okay. Let's sacrifice, take the outside. Yeah. Because even this move is not that good, right? Yeah, white just plays there, keeps the corner, and this group is still under attack. And actually, these stones, right, white got to play here and here, help this stone tremendously. Because now if black invades here, it's just going up against the wall. All right. White plays here, which is a little bit greedier and unimportant, right? White has already sort of prevented me from having a base. So preventing the connection this way is a little bit redundant. It's not like a game-losing move. It's not a huge move, but it is redundant to the same meaning of this move. And you don't really want your stones to ever have the same meaning. Each stone should be doing its job. All right, so the robot says play here. And this is an interesting sequence that we'll briefly look at. This is not the game. White has to fix, and it still wants black to tanuki. And here, actually, let's just look at this. Does this think it's alive? Huh? Oh, I see. I have to fix and fix. Okay. Yeah, so apparently, according to a robot, this corner is alive. Which, that's pretty cool. That's very cool. 4 stones with a foot. Even though it has a monkey jump underneath it, still can make life. I would be pretty happy with that as black if I got to live in the corner and take Sente. Game still looks slightly better for white, but I'm not unhappy. That's cool. All right, now what I did. I went here, which is arguably the worst move that the computer analyzes over here. And I was reading this out, and even though I kind of this plays out actually in some ways very similar to the other variation where, whoops, is that it? That is it. Where black is basically going to try to build a wall here and sacrifice the corner. Unlike my other 2 games, I want you guys to notice that I did not sacrifice a group in the top left-hand corner. I sacrificed a group in the bottom left-hand corner. And that makes all the difference, it turns out, in my games, in the end result. I take this, and actually this is a really interesting moment here, because the robot says that this one is much better than this one. Which is kind of amazing. Actually, like, that's a significant percentage difference. The question is why? Does it matter? Amazing. I do not know why. So is it that, like, there is this problem, right? It's it's, if we have a stone here, this is getting Atari'd. White already has a stone here. It's interesting. Okay. All right. Very subtle. I'll have to think about that more. Because it has to do with this Aji, right? Which Aji you want to leave in the corner. My opponent plays here, which at the time I thought was suave because I was expecting this move. I just assume whenever my opponent does something I don't expect, it's smarter than what I thought he would play. But according to Robot, it's not. So I get to take this Atari. He's got to connect there anyway. So it's like I exchanged this move and he had to play there. Which, yeah, I guess that is good. I'm not sure it's like 15% better good. But exchanging this stone for this stone is certainly useful, right? If white wants to be defensive, this is probably not the most ideal stone to defend against this Hane. That's all I'm saying. Okay, so black makes shape, and the robot says white should connect. And black should jump out, and again we have the situation where white gets to eat the corner, but black gets to build something like a wall here, and try to build something large in the bottom. Oh, what's interesting is it wants white to play here just to help kill the Aji off. Huh. Alright, anyway, not the game. Let's do actual game. So I play here, here, and here. And I play here. And white plays this kind of greedy move. It's not, I guess actually it's really high win percentage though. Alright, this I mean, why does the robot not like this one? It's like almost 1.5%, actually more than 1.5% higher than the move it likes, and it's already played almost 10,000 variations. Yeah, here, let's just drink some tea, see if this gets to 24,000. This should totally overtake this move. This is a very tough fighting move. Here we go. Here, it's gonna happen. Bam! There it is. All right, you just need to wait long enough. Okay. Anyway, tough move. So white plays it, and yeah, actually the robot's coming around. This is my move, which I played. This is the best move to make shape here, though it still has a problem. And here, this is very interesting because white. I think the robot move is better than game, and I think my opponent gives me a really big opportunity. Because when robot plays here, again, this is kind of same thing. White takes corner, builds this, black goes back to building bottom, and that's fine. But in the game, my opponent plays here. And at the time, when he played it, I was like, oh, that's a mistake. Like, there's too much Aji here, like there's something here. And then I started to read it out, and I freaked myself out. I was like, oh, it's genius. Like, this move is genius. Right, because I immediately played here, right? There's this obvious cut between these two groups. And so, and black has a strong shape point to play here because I have these two stones. And at this point, the robot's like, no, 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 just back off. Just forget this ever happened. This was a bad exchange. Just go back and defend this. But in the game, he played here. And I played here. And you can already kind of see what's about to happen. In that black should just give up this stone. Capture these two stones. Here, let's play what should happen. Robot's freaking out. It's like, oh my god. Oh my god. Robot's like, bail. Whatever we did, it was wrong. Let's just give black a Panuki shape. And let him kill everything over here. That'd be great. That would be great. That would be like 86% win percentage. Great. I did not do that. Yeah. So what's the difference between me and the robot? Well, for some reason, when I was reading this out, I imagined white would take this Panuki. I would capture these two stones. White would actually still find a way, be able to live in the corner. And so even though I would sort of like bust through here, between white having a Panuki and still having the corner, I didn't feel like I accomplished anything. But I did, right? This Panuki is not invincible. The corner is actually significantly smaller now. I'm totally safe and alive with no other problems. With one move, I can guarantee a connection with these two stones. And again, white is already low over here, so it's not like white has points in this game. Like even if we just add up the points right now, here, let's do a quick score. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If we give white everything over here, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. White has about 40 points. That's not enough to win a Go game, especially if black has Sente. Right now we're looking at, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. The top is worth almost 30. Actually, a little bit over 30 if white doesn't invade. This is another, you know, almost 10, right, between the two captures and the 5 or 6 points down here. So black already has 40 points more or less in the bank, plus Sente and whatever's on the right-hand side. Yeah. Yeah, I can see why the robot is such a fan. But I was dumb, really dumb. And just, again, it came entirely, you know, I was already a little bit on tilt from some things not going my way and constantly thinking my opponent is smarter than they actually are, or the moves that they play, or the reason why they play them is because they see something I don't. Yeah, and it's especially infuriating because, you know, like I'm like, this is an overplay, right? This is not the right shape here. And so here we are. And so I insist on saving this stone. And the reason, right, is because if I pull the stone out, it still looks really good for black, right? Look at these 3 scraggly white stones. If I take the grid off, it's even more obvious, perhaps. I want to take next move off. What's the button to do that? Next move. Toggle win right, toggle F next move. Here we go. There we go. Look at this black neighborhood, right? Doesn't that look just black? That looks great, right? It's not. It's totally not. And the reason why it's not is because white has this move. And so look at this giant spike just slamming up and slamming down. If white can't find this move, right? If white has to play something else, this is fine for black, right? This totally cool. We're back to a giant black neighborhood. It's great. I'm happy. But because white has this move, and this move, like white, I can't do this, right? White just plays here and cuts through, and all of a sudden, I've just been cut, and I've got a dumpling again. So whoops, here we go. So this here is the only move. I have to just defend, and white now has the initiative in this fight against these 2 groups. And also not bad shape either. This stone also helps complete a mouth shape. So I can push. Robot thinks I can play here immediately, which actually it still thinks this is better for black. So I totally didn't do this. It's kind of interesting. All right, well, why did I not play this Hane? I really didn't want to play the Hane. I was like, the Hane is not what I need right now. That just creates more problems. I guess I wouldn't play the Hane because I'd be theoretically scared of this. But if I can play that move, I'm not unhappy. And yeah, apparently I also needed to play Hane. So this move, very weak, very timid, bad shape. Yeah, why didn't I play Hane? Man. Oops, what did I play? Oh, I played this exchange, which the game thinks is really bad. But I thought it was really useful, actually. Yeah. So all right. So my thinking here was bad. I mean, I wanted this stone because in case white laddered me, I wanted an immediate ladder breaker. Right. That's the purpose of this move. So if I play here, and then white plays here. Whoops. I play here, and then white plays here. The ladder is immediately broken. All right. I can just keep crawling on top. So that was the purpose. And then this move actually guarantees life for this group. Even if white comes down, I have this move, which is Sente, because of this Aji. So this is like guaranteed life. So that's why I played the sequence I did. It turns out this is still a better move to guarantee life. They're very similar, but this is a little bit better. All right, anyway. So in the game I played here, white plays here. I should still Hane. I don't. I crawl to guarantee life. Not a good move. And then white has this nice move, or this move. They're both nice. And now things are really sad. So here the robot says, hey, there's really good timing for the Aji, which I totally take. And that's, hey, look at that. I'm a robot. Oh, and this is interesting. Robot says this attachment's better than this move. Yes, and that would be true based on what happens later. Interesting, interesting. Okay. Oh, no, now it's come back to here. I guess they're both bad and good. All right, anyway, my opponent plays here to kill off the Aji. If my opponent doesn't play this, if my opponent just kills the 2 stones, white has a problem. Still gets a good result because he's so strong in the middle, but black gets the corner back. Or at least there's no, I think it's Seki. I think it's probably Seki. All right, anyway, white plays here. So I take this exchange, and then I extend. And so in my mind, right, I'm still thinking, look, my original plan was to come through here, bust through, cut, and make a giant neighborhood for myself. And this group is in it, and I will attack it. even though it kind of more or less has half an eye. So we just keep extending, and here I finally take the Hane. I finally man up. White immediately cuts, which, yeah, that's fine. And White takes this extension, which I think was the toughest move in the game. And then I sort of go all out. So this is the moment where Black has to capitalize on something. And so this is the best way I felt to do it. Now the robot disagrees. The robot's like, no, this is not going to work. Your plan is terrible. White is fine. And meanwhile, White's building a huge left-hand side now. Not just because of this big corner, because these two stones just got swallowed like de facto by running this group out. However, this move really is annoying for White to deal with. But White White just kills the Aji. What's the percentage of this? It's not the best move, but it works well enough. It says Black should continue the fight on this side, which I do not do. I actually connect to this stone, which, again, I'm sort of going all out against this group now. White plays this attachment, which, again, during the game I thought was a really nice move, and it's certainly not bad. The robot thinks we can exchange this first, though, which I guess is a good exchange for White, but not super important. Okay, White plays here. Again, nice attachment to sort of quash this group. Yeah, I think in the game this would have been better for me. I didn't realize there's a throw-in that White has that I didn't read out at this point that I'll show, that my opponent immediately finds. Again, he's a kid. And kids like throw-ins. So I just make this really crude shape, and it looks like I'm out, but yeah, here's this throw-in. And here I'll turn off the grid a little bit. Oops. So you guys can kind of see how it works. White throws in, and you can see that this move is Sente. If Black doesn't play one of these moves, White will Atari, and Black can't connect because of shortage of liberties. So this is the game, so I have to connect here. Because I connect here now, White can double Hane. So very painful for this Black group. And it looks like, even partially just because White played this stone, but just in general because White got an okay result over here, White has friends, right? It looks like White is just running this group towards his formerly quasi-weak, partially strong corner group. And so Robot does not like Black right now. Robot is all about White. White is getting all the shape points. White feels really good, really comfortable, has all the momentum. Even though Black can take this Atari, he just has to come up and make shape, which gives time, either one of these moves that are pretty similar. It just depends what kind of Aji you want. And White comes and makes shape here. And so at this point, White has 1.5 eyes, has friends. This group is strong enough to survive completely on its own, and Black doesn't really have an attack against it anymore. So the idea of going all out against this group was handled very well by my opponent, and I got very little from it. Like, as far as benefit, I got to play this move. That was my benefit. That's not good. That's really bad. And the robot is punishing me in the win percentage. All right. So again, I'm like, okay, well, maybe I can pick up some points here. Let's do that. I go this way. Robot says this way would be stronger, and I would tend to agree. But this still has Aji. It's still interesting. At this point, though, that because there's still a little bit of a problem, actually, what's interesting is Zoro is just like bail. Just like, fine, you get to have that. Do whatever you want. I'm just going to fix everything over here. And that would really lock me down. That would really be unfortunate. My opponent plays here, which is very similar in idea. However, doesn't quite solve the problem. There's still this Hane. And so I just clean everything here. Now, you know, my center group is strong. I've captured 3 white stones. But there's still this Hane. You know, both me and my opponent read this for a long time, and I don't think either of us like read all the variations because they get pretty nasty. Let's play this move and just show you some. Just play. We'll just play you a very. Actually, let's not play this move. Let's play you a dumb move. Good. Okay, dumb move. Really? That's the response? That's not fun at all. Here, if white blocks this way, big mistake. Robot's freaking out. White plays here. Black now has a stick separating this stick from anything else, and I still have this stick here. So white needs to gain liberties and or connect. Now it's just a capturing race. Black can play this kind of sequence, but that just creates more problems. And now all of a sudden you can see we now have another capturing race between this stick and this stick. And it doesn't look like it works. Oh man, this is nasty. I did not expect this variation to go so crazy. Oh wow, what an exchange. So, did I really just exchange this whole group for this group? But now it says black's way winning. Oh, no, it seems to think black can still do something here. Really? Wow. This is madness. This group is still dead though, right? Oh, this is an eye? Yeah, but just an eye there. There's an eye there, eye there. Huh. So, okay, apparently black can live there too. Wow. All right, anyway, that's one example. There's a lot of variations though, because this gets into like a 4-group capturing race essentially. 5 if you count the center one, I guess, in that last variation. Starting with this Hane if white tries to respond strongly. Or too strongly. So, like, black can save these stones if white doesn't play again. And so anyway, my opponent kind of saw this. Whoops. And so he takes an Atari, clumps me up, and then plays here to sort of finish the shape. I think this exchange that Robot wants to play is just an exchange. I don't think it's actually working. Yeah, it's just an exchange. Black already kind of has this move in Sente, though. I don't think you need to make all these exchanges to make this, to put this into Sente. So anyway, after white cleans the neighborhood, that's a lot of points for white. Remember how white, at one point in the game, we said only would have 40 points if I just captured these 2 stones? Well now, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Yeah, this is a 40-point group just right here. Yeah. But here's the thing, black has Sente, so that's cool. Robot wants me to make this exchange right now, which actually I do not too long from now. So we'll ignore it. What's the next best move after this? It likes making these exchanges. Again, when the win percentage gets really skewed, it's really difficult for the robot to evaluate things properly. So I just take this. This looks like a big move. What's interesting is the robot just wants to play here and just connect everything, be super happy, and say, look, I have enough points to win the game, you don't. That's pretty remarkable. Again, that's very robotish, right? Like, hey, I'm going to win the game by a half point. Very robot attitude. The move in the game that we thought my opponent should play is here. And my opponent does not. And what's interesting, though, is my opponent plays a move very similar to it, and we kind of thought it was like the losing move for him. Well, the robot thinks it's fine. Oh, hello, recycling truck. So my opponent plays here, and again, in the game, we felt like this was the losing move. This was too greedy. Because there's still a weakness here in this group, and there's still a weakness here in this group, and you're making a third, potentially quasi-weak group. Turns out it's not that bad, he just didn't play it properly. There's one move that's not obvious that, maybe it's one of those moves that's more obvious to a Q player. So we play out this quasi-normal Joseki thing. And, yeah, like at this point, these exchanges are already fine, and white should just play this kind of move. And even if black just wants to cut through here, it's fine. White just, you know, has more Aji to work with. Just reduce everything. Again, reduce everything. I'm looking at this move being the more interesting one, but Robot likes this one better. Make this cut and just you know, let Black keep all these points. But if you notice, what's happening is White is starting to build more and more points here, maybe a little bit here, and making sure Black doesn't get anything really that significant. Just, again, trying to win by a half point. So that would have been fine for White. But that's not really human, right? That's very robotish. In the game, my opponent plays out this very normal looking Joseki, and the robot's like, hey, maybe that's actually an overplay. Black should just play here immediately. And I make one exchange. And the same kind of thing, actually, after this exchange, this is now just working. Like, right, Black can't even split this. This is just connected. So this is very hard now for Black. Like, the game is too simple. It's very difficult for Black to come up with an attack anywhere. Maybe, you know, Black, if we make some exchanges, I can make all these exchanges. Let's see, here. Yeah, but then White just connects. So maybe like Black can kill this, but then White will kill all this. So still not one game. All right. So anyway, after this point, my opponent plays here, and look at this graph just crawling up. It's like, hey, there's kind of a weak group. There's kind of a weak group, and then now there's actually a weak group. Like all kind of in this, not really truly Black side of the board, but it gives Black a chance. And so here, I think I make this exchange right now. I do. And the robot's actually, if you look at the blue move just flying around. Yeah, the robot's like, okay, something's up. Because Black played here right now, what I'm doing is I'm just guaranteeing that anything White does over here is not Sente to take away my eye space. All right, I really don't want White to get Sente moves for this group to come down. Because I'm going to get in a huge fight right now. And so I ask if I can take this right now. What's interesting is wants White to fix this Aji by playing there, which is crazy. Which is crazy. Yeah, in the game, White just fixes here. Here, if White, does this actually fix the Aji? White needs to fix there. Is this just one eye group? That's a one eye group. That doesn't live. Wow. Wow, what an amazing read. Yeah, so my opponent doesn't fix there, he fixes there. Which is again pretty astounding. To be able, for the computer just to know, like, oh yeah, Black can kill a bunch of stones in here, but it only ends up with one eye. And so you don't actually need to fix this very passively. All right, either way, regardless, this is actually going to be completely irrelevant to what happens for the rest of the game. Still just an amazing move, right? Though, to like fix all these problems with that move. And here I come up. Oh no, I don't. What do I do? No, sorry. Right. White fixes this way. And so now I come up, and again the robot's like, this is a bad idea. You should just give up. And just give up, and connect, and you still have enough points to win. It's not 100% as sure, but we're still pretty sure you have enough points to win. Still very, very non-human. Like, Black would feel really shitty, right? If all these stones die in here. Wants Black to do this, but then, yeah, there's a little bit of stuff here. Yeah, I would feel much more comfortable in this position just playing a move like this. Just making sure all these are dead and taking a few more points over here. Okay, anyway, in the game, my opponent is human, fights, and I should cut immediately. I showed this to a pro afterward, and he agreed. I played this exchange first. The robot really doesn't like it. It really, really doesn't like this exchange. It defines the shape too much in a complicated fight where I need the fight to go well. And so even if White plays strongly, like, I can still just take this cut, and this is enough to win. Like, even if I give White a Panuki here, this is still a winning board for black, just because this group turns out is worth a lot of points. So, yeah, still very, you know, I'm a human. I'm like, look, I can read this out. If I have a stone here, I can read out this fight, and I can separate these two groups cleanly, which I do. Of course, white takes all these moves, and he kind of makes this living-ish shape here. This Hane I didn't see, but it was actually quite good. I didn't realize how good it was. At this point, he should not connect. He should just make shape, but he connects, and I still have to make shape, so maybe connecting is fine. Again, this human versus robot intuition. And then all white really has to do is play here. Now, it's still a difficult game for white. Like right now, look at the win percentages crawling up for black. But it's not difficult because black really has enough points to win. It's difficult because this neighborhood gets really confusing really fast. And it's a problem for white because this group doesn't have a clear 2 eyes. In fact, it still really only has 2 half eyes right now. And so, yeah, if black can play a couple moves over here to annoy this side, I can kill this whole thing. And so white has to be very careful. Let's see. Yeah, this is almost impossible, though. Oh, man, that move? Look at this. Oh, man. Oh, is this how we're gonna do this peacefully? All right, well, quasi-peacefully. So what the robot is currently saying is that in order to save both of these things, right, these 2 weakish groups, we have to give up part of it, or white has to give up part of it. That's pretty amazing, right? That's pretty amazing. And this all happens, right, or all is a possibility for black because white played this move instead of this move, like way back, if you remember this. In response to my bad move. If this is a bad move, because if white fixed, none of this would have occurred or been a possibility. So man, those early moves do matter. All right, here, let's go back to game and show you the even just as violent, if not more so, thing that happens. Because basically everything dies. So my opponent doesn't play here, plays really greedy move, right? This is just so greedy. And it's like, now I don't even have to, like, play out this stuff yet. I can just play here. But there is actually a pretty significant danger. My opponent doesn't play there, which is interesting. What does he play? Oh, he plays here. But this is a bad move because black has this shape for this throw-in. And, yeah, black now has reduced this white group to 1 eye. Now this game is not over yet, right? And here, because here's the thing. Even though, yes, if all these white stones die, the game is over, this black group technically doesn't have 2 eyes yet. And so, oh yeah, white takes this Hane, but that's not anything. So white pops out the shape here. And I'm actually also getting short on time. Again, I'm playing a kid, so he's just, you know, going really fast on the clock. And I'm actually not as much time trouble as I was the other day. I think I'm not in Byoyomi yet, but I'm at the end of my main time. So I take a long time reading the next few moves, because I'm like, okay, I just have to not die, and this is a 1 game. I just have to not die, and I can win. And the move I come up with is this one, which is sort of the intuitive move. It's the move that the pro liked that I showed afterward. It seems like it works, and the computer agrees that it should work. But what's interesting here is that it likes this move a little bit better. And that's pretty interesting. If white plays here, black plays here, white tries to split, but we have this move. Oh, this? Oh, that's neat. Short the liberties and then push through. Wow. Atari, extend. Wow, what a crazy fight. Okay. Robots are so crazy. Here, I play here. There's several variations. Now, one thing, white's gonna ask me a question right now. Like, hey, by the way, can I prevent this connection? This move may seem really insignificant to this fight, but it is not. because if white plays all these moves, like here, or sorry, if I can even just connect here. This is the right sequence. I don't know, I read out in game. There was a sequence where black can actually connect under if white tries too hard. So by asking me right now, I thought this was a really nice plan. Robot says doesn't matter, you should be fine, and I agree. I'm like, I think I'm fine. I stake the whole game on this move, right? This is like I'm like 1 minute left of my main time. Like, do I want to give white any part of my corner and just guarantee that this is dead? Because I could do that, right? Or do I want to stake the whole game on my reading that I can read out the sequence and that I'm actually fine? And I choose to just gamble, I guess, or bet on myself. So here, white plays this descent. I place more or less the robot moves. Yep, and again, this is all just predicted by the robot. The sequence is all pretty forced. Here he tries for ko, except this is not a real ko, which is kind of neat. Because I have this Aji here, because he never played this move. Isn't that neat? Let me take off the move so you can see how this move now works. Like he's now like saying, okay, it's really ko, but it's not ko because of this move. This is threatening a snapback here for 2 stones. So after he takes here, I can just fill in the ko. There's nothing. And so he peeps, I connect. And yeah, I don't know, he plays just a couple more moves, but he resigns here, basically. And so if we look at the board, all this over here is dead, all this over here is dead, and even though I linked up these 2 groups together, they are not alive. And they're looking kind of dead, actually. Very difficult to save this. Maybe not that difficult. Actually, if I don't even have to go, I'm not going to go all out, right? I could poke out the eye here, but I could just give him an eye. Not sure if I need that. Is there another eye anywhere? No, it's still dead. Yeah, so this entire over half of the board is just all black. Like there's just, what's the win percentage here? It still gives 2% for white. How? How do you make an eye here? How is this even a thing? This is not a thing. There's nothing here. Okay, 98.9%. I really want to see that meter go up to 100% here, but this is just silly robot. Everything is dead. Okay, all right. So anyway, this game, you know, started was where I turned things around. I think a lot of it just had to do with I don't know, just going at the Go Congress and just getting into a groove. And also, you know, getting some confidence by winning the 9x9 tournament. All these were good factors, and you know, this game was still crazy. Not as perhaps crazy as my first day game. If you haven't seen that video, go watch that one. But yeah, if you look at this graph, it's still, I mean, exciting, right? This is, Go games are not won and lost over here. They're won and lost all the way down here. And, you know, this was certainly one of those games. I think the biggest moment that I regret, 2 moments, right, is failing at this Joseki and then missing this Atari and just realizing how good it is for me, right? Just thinking, oh no, that's like, he'll happily go up 2 stones, right? He's totally fine on both sides. But no, that's really good. I should just eat 2 stones and I have no problems. And said, I choose to make a lot of problems for myself by extending here instead of taking this Atari and capturing 2 stones. So I hope you enjoyed this game. I do want to do the remaining 3. I know these videos are a little bit tougher to watch. They're a little more subtle. It's a little more difficult on you know, the reading, and maybe not as entertaining as some of my traditional lectures. But that being said, I still think they're totally worthwhile, and especially with the robot, I have a lot of good analysis and just ideas and shapes, and they're really valuable for me. So regardless of what you guys get out of it, you know, it's something I want to do anyway, so I might as well videotape it. Okay, so anyway, we'll see you next time, and happy going.